Hi, I'm Heinbach, and it's good to have you back. I'm at SMEM, the Swiss Museum and Center for Electronic Musical Instruments in Fribourg. In this enormous collection, there is one instrument that was a bucket list item for me, the Hammond Novachord. As a professional musician, I should not even be playing this. The plaque reads, licensed for amateur use and experiments only. Hammond were probably scared of what musicians' unions had to say about a keyboard that could dream up strings, brass and woodwinds. To honor that, I will call the accompanying EP I'm putting out on Bandcamp Novachord Experiments. The Novachord has been called the first commercially available polyphonic synthesizer that has a keyboard. There's some contention about that, which I'll talk about later. Hammond manufactured about 1,000 instruments between 1938 and 1942. And while it found a home in the film music of the time, being used by greats such as Korngold or Eisler, not many units remain that are playable, and only 2 were known to exist that were fully restored. But I guess now that's 3, thanks to the efforts of SMEM. The instrument has 12 oscillators and uses a whopping 169 vacuum tubes to produce sound. It also weighs close to 250 kilograms. This is a high-tech and high-quality product of the late 1930s. There are electromechanical things at play. For example, you can hear the rattle of the vibrato going on here behind me. To change the tone, you've got a lever here that moves in another capacitor. The oscillator has one waveform, which you can hear if you open up full tone. But you can shape it via filters. We've got a deep tone, which is a low-pass filter. Then we've got 3 resonators, which are bandpass filters. and a brilliant tone, which is a high-pass filter. This will work up top here. And together with all of them, you can create all kinds of orchestral instrument-like variations. Here's a balancer, which allows to have more or less bass. So now we've got soft bass, deep tone, and now we make a strong bass. And we can also vary the attack and decay using this fast attack and if I hold one of the pedals down here, it will decay like a sustain pedal. Or I can make it slow. These are switches for two kinds of vibrato, which is rather subtle, and then we've got a starter for the vibrato, which is a moving part, which you can hear clacking here. This is just a volume. And now we got a preset, which I guess is a first, because it allows you to switch from singing to percussion. So this is the singing preset. As you can see, this moves all these. And now and percussive. Oh. Very much like a piano. The instrument was restored to health in a 5-year process by the brothers Rehm. Its sound creation engine lived on in the Hammond Novachord, which is monophonic. I was surprised to learn that there's heated contention about calling the Novachord the world's first polyphonic synthesizer, as its Wikipedia article prominently states. You can find well-informed people calling it variously a synthesizer, an organ, or an electronic instrument that is a precursor to modern synthesizers. SMEM chose the Swiss true neutral way of calling it both an organ and a synthesizer. I even got drawn into some very deep email debates with experts about its true nature. And that's great. It just goes to show how groundbreaking it was. It took over 30 years for instruments like the Yamaha GX1 and the Polymoog to bring polyphony into commercial synthesizers. In my opinion, it certainly is not an organ. It has a piano interface, not the multi-manuals of an organ, no stops, no bass pedals. Hammond also did not need to make a product that competed with their bestsellers at the time. So it's Nova, it's a new thing. In a 1940s white paper, the head field engineer lined out the difference between the additive nature of their organs and the subtractive sound generation of the Novachord. They even thought it to be more like a string instrument in terms of how the modulation works. Composers of the time, like the aforementioned Hans Eisler, were keenly aware of the difference between an organ and the Novachord and insisted that they not be used interchangeably. As you could see in the demo, it has many of the building blocks that we expect of a synthesizer today, but compared to the instruments that are sold now under that name, they are fairly limited. Tom Rear argues the Hammond Novachord is a proto-synthesizer, an instrument that has some elements of variable, continuous and programmable control that a synthesizer has, but not all of the necessary elements. I really like the term proto-synthesizer, as does Sebastian Berweg, whose articles on the Novachord informed this video to a large part. It shows the continuum of which it originated, a time when the word and idea of synthesizer to describe an electronic instrument was unheard of. It comes from an Ursuppe of electronic instruments, a primordial soup that led to our instruments of today. There are a bunch of plugins out there that emulate the Novachord experience, but none of them comes close to sitting in front of one and playing it yourself. There's just something wonderful in the way the notes stack, overdrive and ring. And also this one has a lot more oomph than any of the libraries or emulated instruments I have encountered. So I've sampled the deep tone across the whole keyboard in 2 versions. You can find the sample pack on my Patreon. Thanks to SMEM for allowing me to play with the Novachord. I definitely recommend a visit. It's absolutely worth it. That's it for this video. Check out the EP on Bandcamp, and if you have any questions, put them in the comments below. Thank you all for watching. I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye. Oof. Sorry, I can't help laughing. This is, yeah, as if eBay had exploded and became real suddenly.